Welcome to all the bold, courageous, and powerful women tuning into Find Your Fabulous. I'm your host, Dr. Diane, and it's time to ignite your full power. Are you ready to embrace your talents and worth and unleash the wise goddess within? I've got the information, inspiration, and revelation you need to ignite your personal power so you can stop playing small and reclaim the passion and purpose that we all hold within us. Connect with other powerful spiritual women who yearn to be fully expressed. The world needs you. Full power. Let me guide you to find your fabulous and ignite your inner goddess. It all starts now on the Find Your Fabulous show. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Diane, and you are listening to the Find Your Fabulous show on Transformation Talk Radio. Stay with us for the next hour and let us help you experience the pathway to finding your fabulous. Join us every first and third Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific time and 10 a.m. Central time, where we will have information, inspiration, and revelation to help you ignite your personal power and reclaim the passion and purpose we all hold within us. Today, I will be talking to my very special guest, Dr. Rose Kumar, an integrative physician and expert on menopause, about the real changes that occur in a woman's body after menopause and how we can protect and enhance our health and how actually this period of life can be the most fun and adventurous. I'm here also with our producer today, Emily. Good morning, Dr. Rose, and good morning, Emily.
Good morning.
Good morning, Diane.
So let me first properly introduce Dr. Rose. Dr. Rose Kumar is a board certified in internal medicine with a focus on prevention, treatment, and reversal of numerous medical conditions. She is also a primary care physician provider for adults and a consultant for complex medical conditions. She has been practicing medicine for over 30 years and founded the Omani Center of Integrative Medicine over 24 years ago and has provided quality care to over 70,000 people. Dr. Kumar is also an expert in endocrine disorders such as thyroid and Hashimoto's disease, female and male hormones, and adrenal fatigue. She is a leading expert in bioidentical hormone balancing and has a nationwide patient base due to her expertise in resolving hormone imbalances in both women and men with safe, effective, and customized natural hormones. She is the author of Becoming Real, Reclaiming Your Health in Midlife, as well as the author of numerous articles and a blog. She is also a sought-after speaker and workshop leader. And Dr. Kumar is certified in plant-based nutrition from Cornell University and has expertise in food as medicine and the gut-brain connection. And she just so happens to be my personal physician of many years and saved me long ago from hot flash-induced sleep disorder by helping me balance my hormones. So let's give a big welcome to Dr. Rose to the Find Your Fabulous show. Hello again.
Hi, Diane. Thank you for that.
You are most welcome. So, Dr. Rose, let's start by unpacking this idea. Why is postmenopause such a powerful time in a woman's life? Instead of the fun being over, I feel it's a time for the personal fun, passion, and purpose to truly begin.
Well, and that is correct. We enter into a time when we have to recontextualize and redefine what fun is and what kind of fun our body can take. And really, the body changes as the hormones shift, and it becomes way more sensitive at so many levels, emotional, spiritual, physical. And so in our society, we really haven't had the luxury or even the instruction of understanding how to take care of ourselves and what to focus on as we go through this very powerful transition. Do you know that most women spend more years postmenopausally than menstrually?
Huh,
And so
I never thought of that.
the lifespan of a woman, say the average lifespan is 80, 85. For 40 years, most women are in menopause, but it's only about 30 that they're menstruating. So, this time is horribly neglected. And I think it's just really important to understand it, not to commoditize it and pathologize it and say, oh, I just want hormone pellets, or I want some quick fix to make my symptoms go away so I can keep having fun the way I did when I was 30. It doesn't work that way for the body.
No,
And you see this all the time in your practice.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So it's this, well, we'll talk about all kinds of details later, but it really is a time of life where there's space and energy and resources to really focus on ourselves for the first time since, before we went into the whole childbearing stage of life. It's like we have the young chapter of life and then the family life, and now we're in the okay, what about me period of life. And it's so important to understand what nourishes our body so that we can really enjoy it. So I want you to put on your physician and hormone hat now and really explain to our listeners in simplistic terms what is happening inside the female body, hormonally and otherwise, physiology, to create first perimenopause, then menopause, and finally the postmenopausal stages of life.
So when a woman turns 10 or 11, sometimes 12, sometimes 14, her ovaries start producing estrogen and they start cycling. So the estrogen production is fairly steady during the month, with a little blip of estrogen production around day 14 of your cycle. So if, say, your cycle is 28 days long, in the middle of your cycle, there's a blip of estrogen peaking, and that's the ovulation stage. So what happens really is the pituitary, which is a gland that's right behind your third eye, hanging down from the brain, that produces a hormone called follicle stimulating hormone. This stimulates the ovary to produce estrogen, under whose guidance 1 egg a month is grown. So when that egg grows under the influence of estrogen, around day 14, the pituitary produces another hormone called LH, or luteinizing hormone, that instructs the ovary to shed that egg. So that egg is then released out of the ovary into the fallopian tube, making its way towards the uterus so it can basically implant if it's fertilized as it's making its way.
Right.
Now, the middle of the cycle, when the egg is shed, if you will, the white of the egg, the yellow of the egg contains all the chromosomes. The white of the egg starts producing progesterone. And progesterone is the fertility hormone. It is the hormone that it preserves the nice bed that estrogen has created in the uterus for the baby to grow in. So it keeps it from shedding, but it also, nature never just makes a hormone that does one thing. So progesterone ends up creating a sense of well-being for a woman, but it has to be at a certain level that balances the estrogen for you to feel well. So what progesterone does is a multifaceted array of functions. It, first of all, preserves the lining of the uterus that's been built for the baby to grow in. It causes you to feel a sense of well-being. It supports your emotional body. It supports your nervous system. It's a prebiotic. It regulates your
Wow.
sleep cycle. It brings your emotional system a sense of well-being. It stabilizes mood. It lubricates your muscles and joints. It lubricates your tendons. It just makes you feel well.
Huh.
But progesterone really has not had a lot of focus. Estrogen has had the
Right.
focus. And when you're going into your menses, the estrogen and progesterone levels are quite high. Estrogen is produced, then progesterone is produced. If fertilization doesn't happen, the progesterone level drops around day 24 or so of your cycle, and around day 28, you have your period.
Okay.
Now, if you're not producing adequate progesterone, we call that PMS, that you are
Right.
actually estrogen dominant and you're not going to feel well because there's too much estrogen relative to progesterone in your body. Now, when you're in premenopause, progesterone levels are starting to decline because your ovaries are getting older, or there's not enough vital capacity in your ovaries. So progesterone levels decline. And so women tend to be more estrogen dominant more frequently. After menopause, estrogen also declines, like as you approach menopause, estrogen also declines. So there's a little bit of a better balance because of the declining estrogen levels along with the progesterone levels. But then after menopause, you're not producing either. So
Right.
at menopause, you stop cycling and the hormones just basically dwindle away. But your receptors of your hormones, the receivers of the hormones on the cell surface, they also start to decline. So
Oh.
when women, and nature has designed it this way, nature conserves energy. So if we're not producing a hormone, the receptors are going to what's called downregulate. So when women start taking high doses of hormones when their receptors are downregulating, they can't process them very well. So that creates the side effects and the problems and the danger that high dose hormones are causing for women. So for the rest of your life, then you're not going to have hormones. And you're going to feel that because hormones do great things for the body, but you don't need a lot of it in order to feel good. And that's the art of hormone balancing.
Ah. Okay. I get that.
It's not a one
So
size fits
the
all.
post-menopause, we're not menstruating anymore, but we need a little bit of hormones so we can feel good. Wow.
Exactly.
Okay.
And facilitate the body function because as hormones decline, the brain also changes, the nervous system changes, the hippocampus, the memory centers change. Women will say, I'm forgetting things and I feel like I'm demented. And I go to the grocery store, I have no idea what
Yeah.
I'm there for.
Well, we're
What
going to
is your
get in
name
onto those
again?
juicy
Yeah,
details in the next
yeah,
couple of sections. But so now we know the life cycle of the hormones in the
yeah,
woman's body.
right.
And we're going to go into a short break. And then we're going to start talking about the actual physical changes that happened. And I don't want to forget, because I know that you're an expert on this, what chronic kind of stress does to this whole process.
Mhm.
Because a lot of women, including me when I came to you, are under a lot of chronic stress.
Mhm.
All right. So we're going to go into a short break. You are listening to Dr. Diane and the Find Your Fabulous show. We're going to come back. Dr. Rose and I are going to continue this fascinating discussion. But before we go to break, Dr. Rose, how can our listeners reach out to you and get their hands on your book?
So they can go to www.omanicenter.com, OMMANI center.com. It's a very prolific website and it has the phone number and contact information on it. The direct phone number is 262-695-5311. And for the book, you can go to the website and click on Dr. Kumar's book and be able to order it through Amazon or Kindle, or you can come to the Omani Center and pick up a copy.
There you go. All right. And for all things fabulous, including my coaching services and free empowerment resources, you can check out my website at fullpowerwomen.com. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hello, we're back on the Find Your Fabulous show with Dr. Diane. My guest today is Dr. Rose Kumar, integrative physician and expert on menopause, midlife health, and the balancing of hormones. So, Dr. Rose, let's dig into the common physical changes women experience in perimenopause and menopause.
So many things happen. I started talking about memory loss. Is women's brains change when the progesterone and estrogen levels are declining. And so the memory centers are most impacted. Women will say, I feel I'm demented. I can't remember stuff. I can't remember names. I can't remember where I put my keys. That is all part of this shifting and reorganizing of the nervous system. So that's one indicator. Another one is the waistline starts getting thicker. So,
Yes, it did.
why does, right? So the body is used to having estrogen on board. And as estrogen levels decline, the body produces more fat so that it can compensate for the lack of estrogen. Fat produces estrogen. So our fat cells produce estrogen called estrone that converts into estradiol, the estrogen that we begin to lose as we go into menopause. That's the sort of the E2 or the most powerful, potent estrogen in a woman's body. And so sometimes, women will need a little bit of an estrogen supplementation and bioidentical estrogen supplementation as they're heading into menopause. But most times, women's waists will thicken because they have too much estrogen from the food they're eating, from the alcohol they're drinking, because alcohol tends to keep the liver from deactivating used up estrogen in the body. And so the estrogen levels are higher, and so the waistline gets thicker. So it could be one of two things that's causing that thicker waistline. And of course, if women aren't exercising and doing the weight bearing and the aerobic exercise that they should be doing, the body's wiggle room goes way down. It just needs to move. It needs exercise. It needs healthy, pure food. It needs lots of plants, because meat and alcohol are going to occupy the liver and increase estrogen levels. So that's something that women can do to offset some of these changes that happen. So the body will start packing on the pounds if your lifestyle is not what your body wants it to be. So that's one thing. So memory, brain changes, the lifestyle changes that are needed, sleep gets disturbed. And because as progesterone drops, your sleep cycle is impaired. So if you're sleeping at night, if you're not sleeping at night and not getting a restful sleep, your cortisol levels go up. And cortisol is a stress hormone that makes us fat. It's also not good for so many other things in the body. I kind of see cortisol like, if you take your car engine and throw dirt in it, it's like that in the body. So cortisol levels become high and they create an interference with other parts of your endocrine system. So the biomachine is not working as efficiently when there's stress hormones on board. And menopause is very stressful for the body. There's a massive physiological change that's going on here. So the body is under stress. So, these are some changes. I mean, these are a lot, but there are some changes that women go through as their hormones start to shift. And of course, we have hot flashes and night sweats, which are withdrawal symptoms from losing estrogen. So the receptors say, "Where's my estrogen?" And in some women, they will have these symptoms that can create a lot of interference with sleep.
Yes. Yeah, well, I know I experienced that. So let me review and summarize a little bit. So the changes that are going through a woman's body during menopause are massive. It's not just the hormone shifting, it's the kind of the receptors and neural pathways shifting. Kind of, like the massive changes a woman's body goes through when she's pregnant, right?
Exactly. Exactly. That's a good analogy.
systems that are happening, but it's a very different process, but it's no less taxing and stressful to the body. So if you think you're going through menopause, I mean, when we're pregnant, we rest more. Why don't we let ourselves rest more during menopause?
Because we're conditioned not to.
Right. Well, right.
We're conditioned to be doers, and doing is the opposite. Yeah, it's the opposite of what your body wants as it's going through a massive initiation or a change. So, and our life is organized around doing. So how do we just stop doing? It's very hard to do. And our selfhood is very much associated or woven around productivity. And what we accomplish, and did I meet all my goals today, and did I get everything done today? And I see women all the time saying, I'm just like, my body just can't move anymore. I mean, I'm a perfect example. When my body says stop, I have to stop. I just can't function. So I've built in some mechanisms for myself to allow myself to take a respite, to have downtime, to create boundaries so that I'm not, constantly going 100 miles an hour. So it's important I tell my patients, create spaciousness during your day for yourself. Even if it's not, like, everybody go away and stop everything. It's that inner place of permission that I am also important. I need to take care of me and listen to me. And that's a sense of spaciousness that you can create for yourself and that you can go back to and rest in.
Yes.
These are very subtle yet powerful ways of reconnecting with self. And at one level, I feel that the hormonal shifts and the changes the body goes through are to direct us back into connecting with ourself, to learning who I am, who I am not, who I am, and what are my needs. And of course, society will tell us, you're selfish to think about yourself. But no, you have to put on your oxygen mask to take care of other people. You
Absolutely
can't be depleted all the time, because then you'll be resentful and rageful because you'll be depleted. So
Absolutely.
It's important to bring the focus back to self. Because at the end of the day, no one's taking care of a woman except the woman.
The woman. You got that straight. Yeah. So let me review a few things too to bring some point homes for our listeners. So cortisol, which is an important hormone, that activates like when there's real danger, right? That helps us, get into the fight or flight and deal with real danger. But it can be triggered just by chronic stress. And you're saying that both during menopause, the body is maybe hanging on to fat more or creating more fat because the fat can produce estrogen. And then the cortisol kind of makes our body hang on to fat too. So if you aren't taking good care of yourself, you're going to guarantee that you're going to get a big middle.
Exactly.
That your waistline will melt away.
Exactly. And, really the acute reactant, the acute hormone for stress is adrenaline. Adrenaline puts us into fight or flight. It redirects everything away from the trunk where all our organs sit and makes us ready to fight, flight, or freeze.
Right.
But when the stress is chronic, then cortisol, body conserves. So cortisol starts getting pumped. So and it doesn't take much for cortisol to be produced. So if you're not listening to your needs, if you are not getting sleep, if you're eating the wrong foods, if your body is full of alcohol, and alcohol, by the way, takes 4 days to process one drink. So if you're drinking every day, your body is just stacking up. And so the liver can't function very well, and that creates stress for the body. So anytime an organ can't function, the body produces cortisol, produces stress hormones. And so there's this vicious cycle of just layering and layering, and cortisol makes fat. You look at anybody who's been on prednisone for a while, they gain weight. Right. This is our body's endogenous prednisone that our adrenals produce when we're chronically stressed. So it's really important, to gain some insight as to what can I do for myself that offsets those stress hormones? What does my body need? And that takes listening to ourselves, coming back into that spaciousness.
And that's what I try to teach people for maybe
Exactly.
time in their life, how to listen to themselves and listen to their body and create their own sense of nurturing and nourishing. And I had to tell you, people are pretty resistant to this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're afraid that they're not going to belong anymore, that they're disobeying the social order, that people will get mad at them, you've heard
They
all
won't
the
get stuff
stories.
done and the world will fall apart.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So
Yeah. So
we have to be retrained. We have to retrain
absolutely.
ourselves.
And I hear you saying, and I never thought of this way, but it's a beautiful metaphor that these changes in our body and the things that are happening that make us slow down and may have less energy are actually our body's way of saying, hey, listen to me. It's time for you really to learn how to take care of me.
Exactly.
Because I've been taking care of everyone and everybody else for many years. Now I need some attention.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like you said before, our culture, the patriarchal rules are it's our job to take care of everybody else. And if we focus on ourselves, that's selfish. And I think that's a huge sin for women to be considered selfish because we're supposed to be on the planet giving to everyone else.
Exactly.
And we do for a huge period of time. But now this is the chapter of, for lack of thing, of me. Like, I got to take care of me.
Well, it's like fill yourself up and then overflow others. So it shifts from depletion to that construct.
Right.
And so it reframes and recontextualizes what it means to take care of other people. This doesn't mean you're not taking care of other people.
Oh, absolutely not.
But you're taking care of yourself first.
Right. You can't serve from an empty vessel.
Exactly. So you have to learn how to do that. This is like skill that you have to learn. We're not born with this.
No. And the culture certainly doesn't teach it.
We're conditioned not to have that, to not do that.
Yeah. We need to go into another short break. But when we come back, Dr. Rose and I are going to continue this fascinating discussion and let the listeners know one more time, Rose, how they can get a hold of you and your wonderful book.
It's www.ommanicenter.com, OMMANI center.com, or 262-695-5311. And the book is called Becoming Real, Reclaiming Your Health in Midlife. Beautiful.
And to learn all about my coaching services and free empowerment resources, you can check out my website at fullpowerwomen.com. And if you missed any information on this show or any other of my past shows, access the replays from the website. And you can email me directly at Dr. Diane at fullpowerwomen.com. We're going to go into a short break, but stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hello, everyone. We're back on the Find Your Fabulous show with Diane. Dr. Rose and I have been talking about menopause, the postmenopausal chapters of life. And we were just talking all about the physiological and physical changes. But let's tune in now, Rose, to lifestyle changes. What are the things that women need to be most mindful of in terms of really taking care of themselves in the chapter of their life with all these massive changes happening in their body?
So I tell my patients, think about two organ systems and nourish them, the liver and the gut flora, the gut microbiome. Those are your two friends that have to be treated with respect and nourished with purity. So let's just spend a few minutes on each.
Okay.
So the liver is your kitchen and your compost bin. The liver synthesizes what your body needs, but also it chews up and eliminates what it doesn't need once it's done its job. So, like, for example, estrogen, it will be released from the ovaries, and the liver has mechanisms that potentiate its function. And then once the estrogen has binded to your cells and its job is done, it goes back to the liver and the liver deactivates it so it can be eliminated. I alluded to this before. Now, we've got trillions of mechanisms in the body that the liver orchestrates. So we want the liver to be really healthy. And the ways to bring your health to your liver is to feed it lots and lots of plants. If you see color in your food, like green, dark green, blue, purple, we're not talking about food colorings, we're talking about Mother Nature.
Yes.
That is what the liver wants. The liver also houses your first host defense, your first line of host defense called the natural killer cells.
Oh,
2
right.
billion of them are housed in the liver. And they just sit there waiting for any invader, including a cancer cell, to be produced, and they get to work. Now, if you eat a lot of saturated fat, like meat every day, or drink alcohol every day, or a lot of it, your natural killer cells will not function well, and the liver will not function well. So you can see how cancer would grow if it went unregulated. You can see how toxins would accumulate if the liver cannot detoxify. You can see how antioxidants, the liver produces the greatest antioxidant your body can use, called glutathione. It will not produce that if it's occupied by toxins. So we want to like keep cleaning the liver out by eating a Mediterranean plant-based diet that's pure. So our food supply in the US is heavily corrupted. We're 80, 90% of our food is genetically modified, and it's full of sprays and preservatives and pesticides. These pesticides are residues that mimic hormones. They're called hormone disruptors. They mimic hormones and then start to behave like hormones in the body, but they're not hormones. They interfere. It's like that dirt in the machine again.
Yeah.
And they interfere with hormone binding and hormone function. So, for example, with the thyroid, if you have a hormone disruptor load in your body, like say Roundup from the food you're eating, because all GMO food is sprayed with Roundup, if you have that in your body, it will prevent the production of thyroid hormone. It will prevent the binding of thyroid hormone to a protein that transports it to where it needs to go. And it will also prevent the binding of the thyroid hormone to the receptor of your cells so that it can do its job. So this is the grit that's in the body that has to be kind of moved out and detoxified. And your diet can do that for you. It becomes more of an issue during menopause because the liver becomes way more sensitive as the hormones are changing. So we want to make sure that what we're putting in our mouth is as pure as possible and as antioxidant rich as possible. We don't want to make our liver heavy. We don't want to subvert its mechanisms. We want it to like help our metabolism. We want it to reduce our estrogen. We don't want to have imbalances in other hormones too in our body. So that's the liver. And then the liver communicates with the gut microbiome. They have a very intimate connection. And what is bad for the liver is bad for your gut. And the gut microbiome is 200 trillion organisms, 5 pounds of them, that basically intercept what's absorbed into your bloodstream through your intestines. And if that milieu of very good biodiverse organisms is not there, because you've either wiped them out through stress, drinking, eating the wrong foods, eating lots of preservatives, eating sugar, eating industrial meat, those are some of the things that wipe out the good flora. Then the bad flora doesn't regulate what goes into your bloodstream. So whatever you eat goes in willy-nilly, and then it creates massive reaction by your immune response. So the immune response will react when things are absorbed in your bloodstream that aren't supposed to be there. And then your immune system gets dysregulated because it gets hyperactivated. And that is the start of an autoimmune disease also, like Hashimoto's. So we really want to be careful, even with the probiotics we're getting off the shelf. They should just take them off the shelf because people don't know what's the correct probiotic for them. They're taking the wrong flora. They're creating more disruption. So it's really, if you have to look at a formula of what your lifestyle should be, eat lots of plants, eat less meat, drink little to no alcohol, and exercise. And all of those things stimulate the liver and the gut microbiome. And the supplements that you should take, B complex is really good for you, like a methylated B complex, a broad spectrum probiotic, only after consulting somebody who's skilled in telling you what probiotics to take. But the probiotics are only as good as what you feed them. And they love plant fiber. So that's what causes your body to start to feel better. I've had women that I've seen who come to me, 100 pounds overweight, feeling bloated and icky. And then within 2 weeks of just following this, they feel like a normal human being again. Their gut is not bloated. They're losing weight. They feel a lot better. They're sleeping better. Their emotions are more regulated because the gut microbiome produces most of your neurotransmitters that your nervous system needs.
Yeah.
And as your nervous
something like
system
90% of our serotonin comes from
90%. Yeah.
I was like, wow.
So think about this. So your hormones are changing, your brain is changing, your neurotransmitters are compromised. Wouldn't you want to be producing a lot of neurotransmitters to compensate for some of what the changes are happening?
Right.
So our body is like our own pharmacy, and we just have to feed it what it needs in order to take care of us. It's a collaboration that we have to learn about. And so that's what I teach people is how do you create that understanding of what does your body need as you're going into these massive changes? And that's going to be the rest of your life because you're going to be postmenopausal forever till you die.
Yeah.
And so this is again not rocket science. These are simple principles. And if people can understand that and start to make the changes that are needed to support your liver and your gut, you're going to do a lot better than most as you go through menopause.
So let me do some reviewing.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about that it's so important for us to support our liver, which is the filter that processes vitamins and all those good nutrients, but also gets rid of the stuff, the crap that we don't need, gets rid of the toxins, and our gut, which is our second brain, by the way, and this huge system that needs to be functioning well. And we've all heard about probiotics and prebiotics, but what I'm really hearing you say, you need the right one for it to work to you, or you could be making it worse. And right now we're being, inundated with probiotic drinks and probiotic this, or,
cleaners now.
What?
Probiotic cleaners are on the market now. That's going to disrupt people's flora.
Yeah. But, and I hear you talking, well, because you've been talking to me for a long time, about, this plant-based diet, and you're saying pure as possible. And, I'm going to put the dirty word out there, as organic as you can possibly afford, right?
100%. Mm-hmm.
As you can afford. There's some things like bananas, because you don't eat the peel, that you don't need to get organic, but, especially the things when you're eating the whole thing, if you can afford to get it organic, or you can, and even more important, if you can afford during the summer to get it local at your farmer's market, that's
as long as it's not genetically modified.
Right. As long as
I ask every farmer, are your seeds genetically modified?
That's a
you
really
use pesticides. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we know we're not supposed to eat a lot of processed food. We're not supposed to eat a lot of fast food. But this thing with eating this plant-based diet, I'll attest to it because I've been working on it for a long time. It, again, takes more effort, right?
Well, because you're learning a new skill. You're
Right.
learning something that's counterculture. The culture says eat the standard American diet, lots of meat, keto, whatever. You'll lose weight, and most people are losing weight and then they gain it all back because the body needs a lot more fiber than it does protein. And we're a protein
Right.
crazy society
We
now.
certainly are. And
It's just I don't
cows
understand
are the
it.
number one disruptors of the climate, right?
Exactly. Industrial
So,
protein.
yeah. So, okay. So lots of, and I'm saying it takes more effort and time because you have to prep these vegetables. You just don't, put your head in a garden and chow like the rabbits and
Mhm.
the deers do to my garden.
Mhm.
You have to
And mine.
clean and prep these things. And yeah, it takes more effort. And then maybe learning some new recipes to do some really lovely, tasty things with these
It's
plants.
an art. I mean,
Yeah,
if you're not taking the time to do this, what's the point?
right.
We were
And I
born
know
to
that
do
your
this.
website has lots of yummy recipes.
Mhm.
So that's another place you can go to learn this. And you just, the joys of Google, you can find useful information there. There's all kinds of plants. And I see these reels on Facebook all the time because, they show you what you're interested about all these delicious salad combinations and
Mhm.
things. And so
It
there's
doesn't take,
resources out
yeah.
there, right? We just have to take the effort to not just do the same old, but really say, hey, my
How
body
do I
needs
learn this?
different.
Yeah. How do I learn this? And it doesn't take that much time. I mean,
No,
I
it
cook
does
every
not.
day practically after work. And it's like it takes 20 minutes to make a delicious meal.
Right. We need to go into our last break here. And we're going to, before we end our juicy conversation. So, Dr. Rose, I know you want to show off your beautiful book so people can get an idea. There
There
we
it
go. Purple and blue, some of my
is.
favorite colors. Yeah. And how can they get a hold of you and your book?
www.omanicenter.com, OMMANI center.com, or 262-695-5311. And you can buy the book online, or you can come to the Omani Center and say hi and pick up a copy. It's also available on Kindle through Amazon.
Right. Excellent. And again, you can find all things fabulous on my website, fullpowerwomen.com. We're going to go into a short break, but we'll be back in just a moment. We are back on the Find Your Fabulous show with Dr. Diane and Dr. Rose here today, and we're going to continue to talk about menopause and post-menopause chapters of a woman's life. And I want to spend this last bit of our show talking about how this period of life can actually be the ideal opportunity for women to really step into their personal power. As a dedicated women's empowerment coach, I believe this can truly be the most empowered time of life. My Find Your Fabulous coaching programs are all about that. And this is why I say this. We have freedom from the years of childbearing responsibility. The kids are grown and they want to be out there in the world living independent lives. Well, most of them. This gives us much more time, energy, and emotional space to focus on us. We are free of the tyranny of our bodies. We can't get pregnant, so sex can be pure pleasure. No more tampons, pads, bloody panties, bloody sheets. We can wear white pants, skirts, and shorts anytime we want. And we have all these rich assets. We have a treasure chest of life of life wisdom and experience, and probably more material resources to use on exploring our passions. And if we allow it, this can be the chapter of self-exploration and adventure. Time to revisit the passions, the dreams you put on the burner in order to focus most of your energy on your family and work life. So We have the time, we have the space, we have the resources to really explore this question. What would I really love to create in my life? So we lost our fabulous expert. But, we have the time, we have the space. We don't yet have the skills, but that's where somebody like myself or a therapist or another life coach can help you get these skills to do this whole life of focusing outward on others and on your job and everything you do, and you do so beautifully, to now putting yourself first. It's not that you're not going to do all those beautiful things, but now you're going to nourish yourself in this new, changed, more vulnerable and more sensitive body. You're going to nourish yourself more. You're going to get to know yourself all over again so that you can then take your talents, your gifts out into the world in an even more potent and powerful way. But it is going to take some shifts, like changing your diet. If you are a meat lover, like I have been for most of my life, shifting to mostly plant-based is a big change. But you can learn it, and you can make some really tasty things if you take the time to learn some more recipes and ways of preparing fruits and vegetables. Oh, here she's back.
Here it is. Internet issues. This is patriarchy.
Yeah. So I was just talking about, how this, can be the time of our life to really get to know ourselves better, Dr. Rose, to really dip into those dreams and passions we put into the back burner, and to learn to not only nourish our bodies, but nourish our hearts, nourish our spirits, nourish our time and talent. I just love to hear what you have to say about this.
In my book, I've described this process as hormone orchestrated. So the hormones are catalysts. The hormone imbalance is a catalyst for us to restore balance. It's the paradox, right? This is how life works. And so we have to find what is authentic for us, including relationship to ourselves, relationships to others, relationship to our values, relationship to our body. We have a lot of work to do the second half of our life to undo some of the learnings and conditionings. And at the end of the day, one of the things we're doing is we're shifting cultural patterns. We're shifting the toxic, patriarchal adaptations that we've been rewarded for.
Right.
We are rewarded to be the daughters of patriarchy. We're rewarded to not be true to ourselves. We're rewarded to
be
follow
insecure.
Patterns.
We're rewarded to be insecure.
Exactly. And so, we have to restore our selfhood. That's why the book is called Reclaiming Your Health in Midlife.
Yes.
And it is a process of becoming real, becoming more authentic, getting to know who you are. I'm learning every day who I actually am. And it's sometimes it's a struggle because the conditioned patterns have inertia, and they're supported by society, but they're a mismatch for me. So
Right.
I have to continue to step away and objectively look at what is true for me, what is not true for me, what am I not, what am I? And this is how we gain wisdom. This is how we regain our selfhood. And, thank God for the menopausal process, because that's such a huge initiation for women. And we have to support one another as we reclaim our authentic self.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. That's so well said. It's really, reclaiming ourselves and letting go. I like to think of it as, these old programs are really deep trenches, but we fill them in with self-love, and then we can make new neural pathways that create this whole beautiful new chapter of our life where we're doing new things and we're exploring new things and we're having adventures and all the things that we put on the back burner because we had to take care of family, we had to take care of business. We can now free ourselves to explore with more time, probably more resources than we had when we were younger. And so, it's divine timing, if you will, right? We didn't have the time or space to do it before. Now we do. We just have to give ourselves permission.
Exactly. And when we can't, we have to seek it out from authentic relationships, women who can give us the permission and validation, not women who just want you to just continue to be who you were before you went through menopause, because you're not that woman anymore.
Absolutely. And people like myself, therapist and women's empowerment coach, and Dr. Rose, the physician that can help you with the hormone balancing, there are resources out there, but you have to vet them carefully, because not all doctors or therapists are equal. So, go get your help, go get your support, go get that marvelous book. And
this power animal is a symbol of discernment. That's what a dragonfly symbolizes. That's why there's a dragonfly on this book. Because we have to, as to your point, Diane, we have to discern what is true and for us and what is not true. There's so much garbage out there. And so, how do you vet all of this? So it's important.
We've come to the end of our show, and I'm so sorry, Rose, you bleeped out there for a minute, but it's been fabulous having you here. Remind people of your website one more time.
www.omanicenter.com, OMMANI center.com, or 262-695-5311.
And for all things fabulous and my empowerment coaching and resources, check out my website, and to listen to the replays of this and other fabulous shows, fullpowerwomen.com, or email me directly at Dr. Diane at fullpowerwomen.com. I want to thank my special guest, Dr. Rose Kumar, today for sharing such wonderful information. I want to thank each of you for tuning in to the Find Your Fabulous show. I had a wonderful time. Please join me every first and third Monday of the month at 8 a.m. Pacific time and 10 a.m. Central time. Go have a beautiful day, and I'll see you back next time on August 5th at 8 a.m. Pacific time, 10 a.m. Central, or 11 a.m. Eastern time, when we'll have another juicy show for you. Until then, go out and go find your fabulous. You deserve no less. Bye. I'm your host, Dr. Diane, and you have been listening to Find Your Fabulous. It's time to ignite your full power. Tune in every first and third Monday of the month at 8 a.m. Pacific time on Transformation Talk Radio for information, inspiration, and revelation to ignite your personal power. Connect with other bold, courageous, and powerful women who are ready to stop playing small and reclaim the passion and purpose that we all hold within us. The world needs you, full power. To find your fabulous and ignite your inner goddess, visit fullpowerwomen.com.